What if I told you that no one is coming to rescue you? Yes. In this installment, I want to talk about the fact that you are totally responsible for the results of your life, for the experience of your life. I want to start this out with a quote from my favorite psychologist, Dr. Albert Ellis, who was the founder of rational emotive psychotherapy and who was the person who inspired me to study psychology and then eventually obtain a master's degree in psychology. This is what he has to say, and I'm going to read it here. The best years of your life are the ones in which you decide your problems are your own. You do not blame them on anyone or anything. You realize that you control your own destiny. Let me read that again because that's deep. I want you to really get this. Pay attention. The best years of your life are the ones in which you decide your problems are your own. You do not blame them on anyone or anything. You realize that you control your own destiny. And what I want to talk about today is the idea of friends, when we have the idea that friends will come to our rescue. First of all, let me explain and say to you that friend is a fiction. It is something that varies from person to person. You see, everyone's concept of friend is different because the idea of friendship is based on certain conditions that a person expects of the other and is willing to provide from him or herself. So if you ask 10 different people what their definition of friend is, you're going to get 10 different definitions, such that a fixed idea of friend is a fiction. So what I want to say is this, is that my concept of friend, which has certain conditions which I consider to be that of a friend, and another person has a totally different concept of what he or she considers to be the concept of a friend, is something that we have to reconcile. And more important than anything, I need to understand, you need to understand, we all need to understand that no one is obligated to fulfill whatever my definition of friend is, as no one is obligated to provide for me any of the conditions that I consider that a friend should do or should have for one, because we are responsible for our own life experience. It's fine when a friend, quote unquote, offers to help and comes to our aid, and we appreciate this and we thank the person for this, but it is irrational to expect this of another person, because no one is responsible for the condition of our lives other than we ourselves. So that we must understand that friendship, or the concept of friends, is nothing that's really fixed. It's not a fixed definition. In fact, I consider the whole idea of friends as a continuum. If you can imagine a continuum in the sense of a rainbow that starts out one end with pastel colors and gradually becomes more and more intense in color until it becomes strong bold colors at the other end of the spectrum is really what friendship is, and that each person decides at what point of that spectrum of friendship intensity they are willing to place themselves. But the key thing is that our choices determine our experiences, and that when we own our own experiences, we cannot blame anyone for not coming to our aid. Because you see, people are not for you or against you, they are only for themselves. And the idea is also that even in the case of our families, we cannot make anyone love us, we cannot make anyone respond to us. And this is the way that it is, such that once we take full responsibility for our own lives and our own thinking, we relinquish this false responsibility from someone else. Dr. Ellis had a saying, in fact, he even wrote a book with this title, which is something that I repeat to myself often, which I think is totally awesome and embodies the complete concept of what I'm trying to say here today. In a book he wrote, and it states as this: I stubbornly refuse to make myself miserable about anything. Yes, anything. Isn't that awesome? I stubbornly refuse to make myself miserable about anything. Yes, anything. So we can see right there that the implication is that it is my responsibility and it is your responsibility to take control of the circumstances and the results of our actions. Our life is a result of the actions and the decisions that we take. Decisions are our own, and we need to own our decisions to understand that we are in control and that there is no one else to blame. Once we give up blame, we take full responsibility, and the key thing, the reward of this, is that we become in control of our lives. So understand that no one is coming to your rescue, but you have the power and the ability within yourself to make the correct decisions in the directions of that which you want to achieve. You are in control, and that no one or anything is to blame for the results of your life. Again, I want to end this presentation with that quote from Dr. Albert Ellis. The best years of your life are the ones in which you decide your problems are your own. You do not blame them on anyone or anything. You realize that you control your own destiny. Okay. This is yours truly, Charles Prosper, wishing you as always to stay consistent and be successful.